thanks to our presenting sponsors. So all of these logos you see on the screen here have made quite an investment into the conversation, into our sector, and certainly into elevating all of these conversations around the globe, just to be of support and of community, be of service into our community. So thanks, huge shout out to all of our sponsors there. Julia Patrick, I heard didn't get too much sleep, but you're still looking fabulous, darling.
This is my world.
I know. So good morning to you. Julia Patrick is the CEO of the American Nonprofit Academy. I am her humble co-host here, Jarrett Ransom, the nonprofit nerd, CEO of the Raven Group. So thanks for joining us again. Miraj Patel, back by popular demand, whether it's our guest popular demand or Julia and my popular demand. He's definitely someone that we love nerding out with. So Miraj is the founder of harnessgiving.com, and so excited to talk to you today, especially when it comes to, stewardship of our donors and texting. And there's just so much out there in technology. And of course, now more than ever, so many organizations are really stepping into this digital world. So really excited to have you join us again. So thank you.
Thanks for having me. Excited to be here. It's incredible to see that folks are addressing some of these issues. I know these topics are top of mind for organizations across the US. So just to be able to provide this type of knowledge and information, it's just a pleasure to be here. And so thank you all for the opportunity, and thanks everyone for tuning in to learn more about texting today.
Yeah. So, we really want to talk about texting and fundraising and communication. So let me back up a little bit. We were talking with one of our sponsors, Dean McCurry Auctions. They work, of course, all over the country, and they really have seen an increase in people using their mobile technology and how they communicate with those people during events, during auctions, during raffles. And so then it kind of led us on to this extended conversation about when that event is over and the auctioneer is silent, how do we kind of maybe use some similar technology or get to that handheld piece that our donors have now started to engage with. They're now more familiar. And so we're really interested to hear what you have to say about this.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm glad you set it up like that, because I think that's the first distinction we need to make when it comes to texting. We've all heard the phrase text to give, right? And that is in its very nature a very transactional approach to texting. The events you described, the auction opportunities you described, text to give, text 56321 with this keyword to check out on your donation. That is a transactional approach. That is a call to action for when you want your captive audience, for instance, the audience in the room, to be able to navigate directly to your donation form without having to go to your website, fumble through the donation links and options. It's a very targeted call to action. Now, I think the other side of texting, which a lot of folks are very interested in because it's an emerging type opportunity, is the text to steward or text to nurture side of texting. And that's the one that I think, we want to focus the conversation today on, because we get a lot of questions about this as well. And I think the first thing that everyone should realize about texting is that it's a privilege, right? Donors inviting us into their most personal space on their cell phone, the messaging app, right? The one that's reserved for mom, dad, brother, sister, family, and close friends. That is a privilege. And that's a privilege we absolutely cannot abuse from day one. It has to be a trust building sort of exercise, right? And so I think the best way to do this when you're talking about text to nurture is you have to be upfront in setting those expectations. And it all comes back to storytelling, which I know we'll go into a little bit later, but you have to set those expectations of, hey, your donation is just the beginning of this journey. Right? From your wallet to actually producing action and actionable results, your dollars go through transformative change, right? We take that dollar and we turn it into action. And so since your journey just now starts by you creating this donation, it is now our job to show you how that dollar is being transformed into action, how your dollar is being transformed into good. And so if you build it up to be, hey, the donation is not the end of this relationship, it's just the beginning. And now we're going to show you this incredible journey that we're about to take you on, a journey of action, a journey of gratitude, a journey of you realizing that this dollar is super important to us, and that you are actually making a change much more than just handing over the transactional money. I think that's the biggest thing we need to talk about and to realize as a step one when we're talking about texting and fundraising.
Okay, so Mirage, just as always, I know you've already blown my mind, right?
Yeah.
Because I have always like categorized texting for giving, and you just brought this whole new level of text to steward, text to cultivate, right? And it's like, duh, like why wouldn't you do that on this platform just as you do any other platform? So for you, it seems like a no-brainer, but for me, you just like, flew to the moon.
Yeah, so you need to like move to Phoenix, because I have to like, I need to be with you 24/7 for a week and get some of these.
I'm ready. I'll come out at any time. But it's important to realize, right? Like that's why, when we get on here, it's the passion is oozing, is because, right, that's what people don't realize is the donation is not some glorious end goal, right? Your end of the year gala where you raise all the money is not the end goal. What you're doing is you're setting up next year's journey. And this is the start of the journey. And next year, we're going to share you, or throughout the year, rather, we're going to share with you how we're transforming your dollars into action. And I think that expectation is huge.
It's so huge. And I say all the time, and I don't want to dismiss the time, the energy, the money that it takes to creating an event, right? It takes so much work, which is why it's such a topic of conversation in the ROI discussion. What are we getting? What's our return on investment, right, from this event? But I always say, Mirage, just as you did, it's like the event is the start of it. Whether it's butts in seats or virtual right now, it's what are you doing to sprinkle the magic and the hype of that contained event throughout the rest of the year? Because what you don't want to do, and I see this done unfortunately too often, is, you have someone attend a big event and then you don't talk to them again until it's time to invite them the next year. And shame on you, shame on us, shame on whoever's doing that, because that's where I say, how do you sprinkle the magic of that event that they attended throughout the year? So thanks for acknowledging and speaking that, because I do think, harnessing like that, harnessing that giving, right, during that evening or that event is really the key to success and to retaining our donors, because we all know that it costs less to retain a donor, than it does to keep getting new ones.
Absolutely.
So, Mirage, we have several comments, and one of them, my favorite that's come in is comes from Marnie, and she's like, she wrote in, like, wow, meaning like you've blown our minds. So let's back up a little bit. It seems to me like this theory is a game changer or approach. I mean, you need to take your team, from board to staff, and have a major, as we say in my family, venga Jesus, comes Jesus moment, where you lay this out, right, and get everybody on the same page. Because this is it shouldn't be, but this is a newer way to look at things. And it has to be, I think, modeled, and you have to amplify this approach. Wouldn't you say that's true?
Absolutely. And, I love what you said about it's a mindset shift, right? It can't be a single person. It can't just be your communications or your marketing director. It can't just be the executive director mandating that this change happens. It has to be a full top to down mindset shift. And I think that's where many folks start off on the wrong foot, because it sounds great, but if everyone is not in this mode of constant gratification and trying to figure out those magic moments of how to gratify your donors at every step and how to invite them in to be a part of the journey, I think that's the first step. Then becomes the tactical, which we can go into. But the very first step needs to be us as an organization. We realize that this change is happening. We realize we need to change our mindset. And it could be scary to start, but thankfully there's resources like this show that allows for us to tactically put this process and this plan together.
Right. So then let's move into the tactical piece. I mean, leveraging texts and what that looks like. I agree with you. I was meeting with a fund development person yesterday who's come into an organization, global organization, and they feel like the team before them overused their texts because they were starting to text their donors and e-blast the hell out of their donors, and they lost a lot. They have to kind of like readdress and refocus. And so it is about leveraging.
It is. And Mirage, before you jump into that, I love that you said we really have to be mindful of the sacred space, because a text message, to me, you're right. It's like, it gets my attention. I think we're all a little guilty to say, hey, I'm in a meeting or I'm in a Zoom call, but you can text me, So whereas we might not be able to take a phone call. So how do we leverage this platform and not abuse it?
Yeah, absolutely. The first thing everyone asks is what's the frequency, right? But that's not the first question to ask. And I'll tell you right now, our mantra is no more than once every 10 days, no less than once every 30, right? So you should be no more than 3 times a month, no less than 1 time a month. But really, it's what are we texting? And this is actually my favorite part of our process is talking about creating your screenplay as an organization. And we're talking about storytelling here, right? And there are, you've had many guests that talk about storytelling. This is the same thing. We're just learning how to do it in 160 characters or less. So when we say at Harness, we like to liken it to a screenplay, right? Where your organization is fighting some adversity in the world, some villain in the world. So you can do this exercise as part of this top-down shift, right? With all your board members, all your senior staff. Just have a good time with it. Picture what the story, the movie of your nonprofit looks like. We have this villain in the world, right? Childhood cancer, hunger in our community. We need to dress that villain up to be so evil and mean, right? Childhood cancer, that is probably the worst villain you could even make up, right, in Hollywood. So that villain exists. Your donor is the hero of this story. Your donor is the only person in the world that can fight this villain, right? He is or she is the hero of the story. You and your team are the supporting cast. You're there to help this donor, this hero, slay your villain. If you start thinking about your story and storytelling in this very dramatic fashion, it will begin to take flight, and your donors will begin to lean in, right? Like the hairs on the back of my neck stand up when I'm thinking about the opportunity to fight children's cancer. Mm-hmm. And if I, as an organization, am telling my donors and sharing them in this perspective of you are the hero, right? Jarrett, you are the hero that has been selected to go fight this villain. We're going to share with you how you're able to do it and how, because of you, we're able to get these resources to go fight this foe. I think that's the principles of storytelling, right? And we all already know that from prior shows that your brand is the best brand in the world. Your product is the best product in the world because you can't compete with for-profit companies, right? Coca-Cola does a great job of storytelling, and they tell a story of how Coke brings the world and the community together, right? One love, shared love. You've seen all those commercials, but really all they're doing is selling sugar in a bottle. So you and your organization should be able to tell a compelling enough story to get me as a donor to lean in about the adversity that you're facing or the adversity that you need my help to overcome. From there, you can extract that into 160 character moments of delight, sharing how your hero is helping you fight this villain. Long-winded answer, but does that make sense? And please start.
Well, sold. And I want to know when you're doing a book signing for your comic book that you just laid out the storyline. Like, I just think it's perfect. I can see Harness Giving having a comic book that describes the product just as this villain and hero.
I love it. I'm going to take that to the content team. Thank you, Jarrett.
we need a philanthropic Marvel hero is what we need.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay, so then you have that journey and you have the story and all that, and it's moving along. Then you have a crisis or you have real-time donations. I always think of the Red Cross really around 9/11. They were one of the very first organizations to do that text to give. Remember that one night, all the networks had, of course, you guys are young, but all the networks did a text to give kind of telethon kind of approach. So how do we manage that if we have an emergency or if we have a specific date or event versus that relationship? What is?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah.
And forgive me because I have to go back a little bit before we can get to this point, right? So again, this is all about building trust. This emergency giving call to action scenario should not happen frequently. It should happen no more than once a year, I'd say, maybe twice if you really feel like you've got a solid group of donors that you've nurtured throughout the year, right? So the first thing is building trust in this medium. You cannot ask a donor who has just given to give again via text just because it's a text message rather than an email appeal. That'll just completely ruin the trust. You'll get the stop message on your phone, and now you have to start back at zero. So the things that you can do to build trust, again, tactical, because I know folks like tactical things, are create those magic moments, right? Even if it's, we're going to send one message a month, create the magic moments of, hey, when they sign up, it's a welcome video comes through, right? We've spoken about videos in the past, 10 to 12 seconds from your executive director, your board member saying, hi, Julia, thank you so much for joining this program. We are so excited to share how your dollars are making a difference. And these are the things you can expect from us, right? And it's a 10 to 12 second video. And folks ask me all the time, they ask, well, can it be a generic video that automatically goes out, or does it have to be personal? And I say it has to be personal, right? Because the biggest thing is, if this is working and you're sending hundreds and hundreds of videos, it's a good problem to have, because you're getting all of these donors started off on this incredible journey where they don't see a 5643 number. They see your face as the executive director. They see your face inviting them to be the hero of this journey, right? You all said that it would be great to have a fundraising superhero. Each donor should be treated like their own fundraising superhero. You are calling this person to action, right? So the welcome video is a great one. Share in every victory. There are small things that happen within your organization, right? Of just small things, small victories, small, whether it's, I'm trying to think of an example, sorry, but whether it's
small
a puppy
success
that just came out of surgery, we go back to the Licking County Humane Society story, right? That is a small victory. You might have dozens of animals that go through surgery every week or whatever. Share one of those and just share a picture in 160 characters saying, this is someone we were able to help because you were the superhero in this movie. Do things like send out little stickers or social media badges, right? Canva is a great tool. We already know it. Design something really quick that says, you rock, thank you so much. A text doesn't always have to be this long-winded thing with a call to action or anything like that attached to it. It can just be something that is a small moment of gratification. Jarrett, you said this, you're in the meeting, you're going on to your day-to-day, you see this cute picture of a puppy, or you see this, hey, Jarrett, I just want you to have a great day, wishing you the best week from our family to yours. Those are small moments of building trust. Mm-hmm. Once you've built enough of those moments and a true crisis does happen, again, this has to be, you have to save this for that true emergency, right? Mm-hmm. Because if you don't, it just gets written off as, oh, they're trying to squeeze another dollar out of me. But what the mission is to make this group feel like they're so critical, they're so mission critical. You have this group of heroes fighting this villain that you can ask them in the time where, matters are at their worst, or there is a true emergency like Licking County Humane Society, where they can send a story, make a call to action, and then see that response in whatever it was, 45 minutes or an hour, where that whole surgery was paid for, right? Yeah. Again, long-winded answers, but what we're trying to get at here is this group should not be treated as a moneymaker group. That's where a bunch of the organizations we work with are either recovering from or make the mistake. This is something completely different, because guess what? Your donor is not going to be motivated to donate because you texted them rather than emailed them. They're just going to get pissed off, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And unsubscribe, I mean, for me in my texting, when I get something about, hey, I saw your house, would you be interested in selling it? I'm like, really? It has nothing to do with fundraising, but it has everything to do with annoyance in my sacred space. And that is certainly not what you want. That is not, the other platform, or not platform, but the other sector I see doing this a lot, and sometimes well and sometimes not great at all, right, is the political arena. So when I think of politics and campaigning, right, I think those were the first robocalls I ever received. And now they are the first text messages in the system and platform I've ever received. So when I work with my clients, Mirage, and I'm sure you have some stories to share on this too, and some solutions, right, is what can we glean from these contactors, be it, hey, I would like to buy your house, or a political campaign? What can we glean from these that are either doing it really well or so annoyingly that you don't want to copy that? So what do you say for things like that? Because I'm sure, it's not just me that's getting hit up on these political campaigns, or, hey, I'd like to buy your house out of the blue.
Yep. Well, I think first thing is recognizing that this is how it's not done, right? So the idea about noise is, if you make less of it, you either can cut through it, right? So it's a weird concept to wrap your head around, but if everyone's doing the same thing, and every time you sign up for one of these lists, right? I signed up for a coupon from Dick's Sporting Goods about 6 months ago. They've probably sent me 30 text messages of sales and discounts, and it got so crazy where I just hit stop, right?
Yeah.
Recognize that all these things are happening, and realize that maybe the less noise you make would actually be received better, right? Maybe if I'm not calling and asking for something, and there's not a call to action associated with every communication I give you, and rather I keep that to those delightful moments of just pure gratification and delight, maybe that will do a better job of winning that donor over and making them a true part of our team, right? So we already know from, again, I'm going back to prior conversations, because all of this builds upon each other, right? We know that consumers in today's day and age take sides. You have brands that you absolutely love. You either ride Uber or you ride Lyft. Sometimes I price both of them out and just go the cheaper option. But
Same.
for most people, you have one or the other, right? You either have Uber Eats or you have DoorDash. People want to take sides. People want to
Uber
align
Eats.
with brands and causes they love. So how do you do that? You do that by providing an experience that's different from everything else. So when I come into this environment, and I'm expecting, trust me, donors are expecting that once they give you their number, you're going to be, hitting them up with call to actions, with solicitations, with appeals. That's the expectation. So if me as a donor, I sign up for that next charity or that next organization, and I'm receiving a completely different experience, I will take note of that. I will realize that this organization is different. This organization is trying to push the needle forward. And now maybe I want to be a part of that. Or at the very least, I'll stay tuned in to make sure I'm not missing something that comes in down the future. So
then
the thing about noise is, less you make of it, the more you can cut through it.
Are you advocating then less characters and maybe more images? Like you used the comment, creating the graphics and sending a message that way. Are you seeing that that's really more impactful and less invasive, so to speak?
Absolutely. I think, again, the first thing is, let's think about messaging that doesn't have to have a call to action associated with it. I don't want to receive a message asking if I'm interested in volunteering. I don't want to receive a message asking me if I'm interested in signing up for this event. I don't want to receive a message asking me to donate in this medium. I want to receive a message that shares how my dollar is impacting this organization, right? I want to receive a message that I can look at, pat myself on the back, and continue on with my day. I want to see a message that takes the time to wish me a happy birthday, or to send me a cute little, paw illustration with the organization name that I can share with my friends on social media.
Mhm.
Those are the subliminal things that happen once every 30 days. And if every subliminal thing continues to add up, then when that emergency happens, or when I get that email asking me to come to the event, or I get that social media solicitation asking me to donate, that's when I'll take action. But for once, let's treat a channel as not a money-making channel, right? Let's treat it as a trust-building channel. Let's treat it as a gratification channel. The currency we should be sending across text to steward or text to nurture is love, it's gratification. Make these folks want to pat themselves on the back and feel googly inside, right? Like it kind of seems corny to say, but those are the feelings we want our donors to receive in this medium, in this channel.
Yeah. And I cannot believe it. Like we're down to the last 3 minutes of the show, and Mirage, I'm just in like starstruck. I can always talk to you for hours. But
I say let's go. We have 3 minutes. Let's go another 5 minutes, which I don't know if we've ever done this. So for those of you that are on the call, we've had a lot of questions come in. So we'll go ahead and we'll go to 10:05.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'll let you.
I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. I'll let you queue up the question because I know we have a question, our couple. But I just want to, reiterate the fact of what Mirage is saying. The text platform is one piece of the gratitude and vehicle of that donor journey. So, that I just want to elevate that as well and just reiterate because you have to consider that as part of the journey, but not the entire journey.
I love that. Wow.
What are our questions?
Okay, so here's some questions. And Patricia asked, how much of the openness to text messaging and the feeling of it, a sacred space, is generational? Really good question, because that leads to the next question is, can that be segmented? So do you have any knowledge or any data on how the text is working for younger generations versus older, all that?
Yeah, so it's a fantastic question, and I think we are on the cusp of starting to really get that data and be able to analyze it. But the thing that we always point back to is this is not just happening in the nonprofit space, right? We have the for-profit space that has already been transforming over the past 10 years. So those same folks that we're worried about that may be a generation older, those are the same folks that are getting texted when they're getting car service. Those are the same folks that might download their grocery store app to be able to, check out on groceries. Those are the same folks that are, applying for insurance online or doing taxes online. So what we have is the benefit of the fact that our for-profit counterparts have already started creating this consumer behavior change. And I think it impacts all levels. So of course, are we going to have the late adopters? Sure. But the fact of the matter is the majority of your donor base will respond to a new channel and a new medium like this. You just cannot break the trust. And that's something that we do know demographically, right? Older generations built on trust. You need to have that absolute trust and never break it, because as soon as you break it, it goes from this is really cool to I can't believe I'm on another calling list or another spam list. Right. So in my opinion, if the majority of your base is now accustomed to this new communication channel, it's something you probably should look at adopting, or at least taking a 3 to 3 year plan. I'm not even going to give you 5 years, a 2 to 3 year plan to get there, right?
Come on, they're on Zoom right now, so they might as well get,
Exactly that. Yep. So.
So what you've said has really rattled the cages of a lot of our viewers today. One of our viewers coming in from the Middle East says, gratification is certainly most important. I completely agree with you. Really
Thank
true.
you.
You're right. It's how we view this and how we're celebrating that donor experience. I remember the very first time we had you on, you talked about that physiological experience that people had when they donated and what that what the body and the mind goes through, and how if you can understand that, then the journey of creating those, if you will, superheroes for your organization is a lot clearer.
Absolutely. And it is the mindset shift. And that's why all of these things kind of build upon each other, right? Because it's not just things that we're throwing at the wall to see if they stick. These are things deeply rooted in consumer behavior. And the idea that you would much rather, or that you gain more gratification by handing $1 to a homeless person rather than donating it online, that is powerful. And so how can we continue creating these building blocks and allow them to build on each other to continue creating experiences and gratification moments for the donors? Like, that is what this is all about. And it's a mindset transformation.
Love it.
Well,
Love
you
it.
have transformed our minds yet again. We always love having you on. I think that it's really cool. And I'll tell you, Mirage, as we wind up, we've never gone over before. You know, I think you give me hope for the future, because when I look at you and I think this is the next wave of young, intelligent, scientific, and tech-oriented people navigating philanthropy, I think the future's crazy bright. I mean, don't you, Jarrett? Don't you feel like this is like one of those things?
Yeah, it gives me goosebumps. I love all the stuff, Mirage, where you're like, it might sound a little too, I forget the word you use, but it's like, no, it's absolutely what we need, because to feel that altruistic feeling of giving and receiving is so important. And it's such a basic, I think, human need. So it's amazing.
Absolutely.
Good stuff.
Thank you all for the time. And trust me, there are many folks now, our team at Harness, just really pushing the envelope. And then we have so many organizations that have young leadership that are pushing the envelope further and really making these changes. So really appreciate the opportunity. And it's always a pleasure to be on here, and looking forward to the next one, right?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, we're like your super fans. Again, I'm Julia Patrick. I've been joined by the nonprofit nerd herself, Jarrett Ransom. Here is Mirage Patel's information. Harness Giving. They have some great information on their website. In preparation for his visit again, I was just back on there. They have a really interesting take on things, as you heard today, and a really cool thing to see. I think that what's really neat is that we've been seeing other organizations use your technology that we didn't know about, but that we've interviewed or whatever. And so it's not just you coming on telling us how cool you are. We've been seeing this, Jarrett and I, and that's been really fun. Also, we get bragging rights because we're like, oh, hey, we know that guy.
Oh, yeah. This is the start of it all, but I appreciate all the compliments, and it's a testament to the folks that are pushing the entire industry up. So thank you all for providing the platform and providing the medium. And it's our pleasure to continue the conversation and help assist in any way we can. So
it's really cool. Well, we couldn't do this without our presenting sponsors, so we want to make sure that everyone acknowledges that. They allow us to continue forth on this journey. We want to mention that we have just launched with the American Nonprofit Academy, the Nonprofit Atlas. It's a great resource tool where you can go on and you can find all different types of people that serve the nonprofit sector in a professional capacity, nonprofitatlas.com. So make sure you check that out. Thanks for letting us run over. When I said 10:05, man,
you're on it.
I'm on it, sister, because it's 10:05.
I know. Bye. No.
So thank you for letting us run over. We've never done that before in almost 150 shows, but I just thought it was so important to do so because it's really a mindset shift, which we have been talking about. We need to be doing it, and you heard about it on the Nonprofit Show. So again, thank you so much. I always end every episode with the mantra, and I truly believe it: stay well so you can do well. Thanks, everybody, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.